Hey guys, if you're looking for a fantastic dish to add to your mealtime repertoire for the holiday season, look no further. Check out this simple pork loin. Well, it doesn't look that simple, but trust me, this isn't hard to make. Give this a shot. You're going to love this recipe. It's delicious. Hello, welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. On this episode, guys, we're going to be making a delicious dish. This is a roasted rosemary pork loin. It's going to also have some garlic and some almonds on that crust. Oh, it's going to be delicious. And the juices that we get off of the roast, we're going to mix those with some cherries. And we're going to make a Tart Cherry Compote to put over the top of that meat. You're going to have these wonderful harmonious flavors going on. So if you're looking for a wonderful, tasty dish, especially for the holiday season, it's inexpensive to make, it's quick to make and easy. Give this one a try. You're going to be impressed. Come on over. Let's start with the star of the dish here. This is about our pork loin. Now, how do you take a pork loin and dress it up? There's, people try doing all kinds of different things. But when it comes to a roast pork loin, let's face it, there's only so much you can do to flavor a roast pork loin, other than, cutting it open and, stuffing it with stuff. Just to keep it whole and get good flavor, well, that's sort of a trick. So I'm going to teach you some of the tricks of the trade on exactly how to extract a wonderful flavor on this. But also, roast loin is roast loin. You got to have something to really bump it up and make it special. And that's where our other ingredients come in here. Sauces and things like that are what make our meats fabulous. And one thing that works on pork are fruits. A good example is putting pineapple on ham. Fabulous flavors, okay? And we're going to get the same kind of thinking here. We got some fabulous ingredients. Number one, I've got our nuts. I've got about a cup here. I don't think I'm going to use all of these. I'll probably use about half of them to begin with for topping this. And then I'll keep some others as a garnish to go over the top of the cherries when I'm finished cooking them up. Some rosemary. This is, of course, our pork loin is called a rosemary pork loin. And this is a wonderful flavor to cook up with pork. It just kind of marries well with it. Also, garlic. And when you put garlic and rosemary together on pork, bam, they just snap. So we have these fabulous goodies. This is simply some pie filling, okay? So this is basically about 20 or 24 ounces, somewhere in there, of tart cherry pie filling. Don't make this difficult, okay? I couldn't find fresh cherries at this time of year. And I knew that this would be exactly what I wanted because they would be ripe and tart and perfect. And it's exactly what I want. Also, over here I've got some white wine. 1 cup of white wine. And I'm going to put that in the pan underneath the roast. That's going to catch with the drippings and bring out better flavor in the drippings. But also when I mix the drippings with the cherries, that wine and all that, they all combine together into a fabulous tasting, harmonious sauce that goes with the cherries. Oh man, it's going to be fabulous. Now, also some pepper and salt. I like to put that on my roast. Let's get on to getting this thing cooked up. First thing we need to do is prepare that roast. And folks, this is really, really easy. Right here, I have a very simple glass pan. In the bottom of it, I have a pan rack. You don't have to do this, but I do like to raise the meat up off of the bottom so I get a better air circulation underneath it and more browning all the way around and a faster, more even cook. This is just my way of doing it. If you have a way of getting your roast up on the bottom of a pan, do that. But you're also going to need a pan that'll hold some liquid. I'm using a glass one this time. You can use metal, glass. You can even do this in a skillet. If you don't have anything else, put that meat in a skillet and put it in the oven. You're going to need your oven set at 350 degrees. let's get on with processing our goodies to cover the meat. Let's go ahead and prepare our spices and flavorants for our roast. I'm gloving up, and I'm doing this because in a little bit my hands are going to be all over that meat, and then I want to do a quick cleanup. A couple of things I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to process my garlic, and I'm going to have to process my rosemary. I think I'm going to start with the garlic. Now that scab end, I don't really like anybody ever seeing that in my food, so I'm kind of particular. I like to go ahead and remove that little guy. That away. I don't ever see it. It doesn't ever bother me. My friends, my guests, they never see it, and that makes me happy. Now, though I have several cloves here, I brought in the small ones from the middle, so that really equals about 1. So I have the equivalent of about 3 cloves of garlic. Doesn't take a lot for this, guys, okay? You don't have to just smother this with garlic. And the rosemary goes a long, long way, especially if you chop it up the way we're going to. Never pre-cook that rosemary because it will release its flavor like you can't believe, and then you're going to wish to God you hadn't. I'm going to start by mashing. Get rid of that. Mashing those. Now, the reason I mash these things down to start them, this is important, guys. I don't want that clove rolling around on me while I'm trying to chop it up. I want it to be stable. To do this chopping, this mincing technique, I need a knife that is offset from the handle like this right here. This offset allows you to rock that knife up and down. And that's what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rock it up and down over this garlic and chop it up. Fingers go on the top of the knife and keep that thumb always tucked under, never against the board. You don't want to chop your thumb. So just go to chopping up that garlic. If you have a garlic press, that's groovy. But if you don't really need it. If you got your knives, then you got enough. So as you see me do there, that's just a simple rocking motion, guys. See that? And it goes over the garlic, just chopping it up beautifully. So I've taken my garlic down to a fine mince, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. Nice little pieces. If they're just slightly larger than your typical canned grated Parmesan cheese, that's about right. Okay, isn't that simple? So I'm going to take my garlic, gather it up, and just set it aside, and get busy processing the other ingredients. Now, when you see me doing that, I'm not actually running my fingertip on that edge. I've got it curled up, and it's back. I'm watching it. I keep it away. Otherwise, push everything off of the edge like so. Be safe with it, okay? I've been handling knives for so many years. I get sometimes a little lazy. I really shouldn't. On these, on your leaves, pluck off the smaller clusters, and of course if you have them like this, just strip the stem back like so. The small clusters at the tip you can pull off whole, just like that. There's not enough wood in that to really bother anybody. As I mentioned before, this isn't going to take just a massive amount of rosemary leaves. What we're going to do is we're going to chop them. And I'm wanting about a tablespoon chopped. Don't use the dry. This is a dish that really needs fresh rosemary. So if you can't find any in the grocery store, then find a neighbor that has it growing in their lawn and ask them for a sprig. Rosemary's rosemary, folks. The kind that grows in your yard. Yep, that's the same stuff. We have this stuff growing all over the place where I work. There's always plenty of rosemary. Now, rosemary, that's about a tablespoon. I'm going to put it back here with that about a tablespoon or slightly more of garlic. And our nuts. Now, I purchased slivered almonds. That's a bit too much, I think. There we go, about a half a cup. And I wanted really chopped almonds. Now, I have an almond chopper, but you know what? That takes all of the fun out of it, doesn't it? And this kind of shows you that, you know what? With the right knives, you don't need a lot of the fancy toys. I mean, I've got them. They're packed in cabinets. I just don't want to bother with them. My knife is easier to clean. There we go. Let's scoop up that garlic and rosemary, and I want to combine them. And this, folks, is my topping for my pork. What a lovely thing, huh? Simple, isn't it? Now all I need to do is get this onto the pork itself and get the pork into my pan. I'm going to go ahead and turn the oven on. I'm going to set it at 350 degrees. That way it gets heating up for me. Before I get into using all of this, I want to start my pork, get some of these, by salting it. Now, I don't want salt or the nuts all the way around, just on the top of it. This is the bottom. The top is my fat side. So the first thing, a little bit of salt, some black pepper, I also want salt and black pepper on the sides of my roast. So let me show you what I'm going to do. See how I salt the board on the side and pepper it. And what I'll do is I'll simply roll the roast right over onto that, gathering it up on its moist surface. There we go. Making it a little bit quicker and easier. See that? Picked it up there. Sides are done. How's that for simple? A little bit more salt. Now, the reason the fat goes up, folks, and this is important, and don't trim that fat off. A pork loin is naturally lean. It's a lean cut of meat. You can't get around that. Pork loins are just that way. And that fat, when it renders down through the meat, is going to make it moister. It's going to keep it from drying out. It's going to give it flavor. It's a win-win situation with that stuff. So, pepper again. Now for those nuts. Right across the top. And I want as much of this on there as I can get on there. So essentially I'm looking to get every bit of it stuck to this roast in one way or the other. See how it's falling? I'll scoop it up, put it right back on there. Now what I'm doing is just kind of pushing it out to the edges a little bit, because I want the flavor of everything to work its way into that fat and down through that roast. The fat is the carrier of the flavor for our spices. You see our garlic, it has oil in it, and that oil needs to go down through the meat, but by itself there's not enough to carry it through there. The rosemary has oil in it, and the flavor of that needs to carry through the meat. Again, not enough oil in that rosemary to get it there. And the same way on the nuts. I want the flavor of those nuts to carry through that meat. The fat is our carrier, folks. It picks up the flavor, takes it through the meat, keeps the meat moist, and this is delicious. Now, it's done. Isn't that beautiful? Let's get over here on our pan. Oh, there we go. I have a roast ready for my oven. Next thing, I'm going to put my wine in the pan, match it with an equivalent amount of water, 1 cup of each, and we're ready to put this in the oven. Now that's 350 degrees, and we're going to cook it till we get an internal temperature around 165 to 180. It used to be recommended that you cook a pork loin like this to 185 minimum. And because of the way that they're raising the livestock now, you don't have to worry about that because they're treating it with some antibiotics and things like that that prevent that meat from having any of those parasites that you might be worried about. So let's not sweat that at all. Let's get this guy down in the oven. There we have it. I added that cup of water on top of this wine, just mixed them together. Goes in the bottom of that dish. Now, my liquid's just starting to come up to the bottom of my pan rack. And that's right where I want it, no higher. Okay, and that way my roast is not in any liquid. You don't have to worry about that. But the liquid's there to provide steam, keep this from getting too dark on the outside, but also it gives that fabulous, fabulous tasting au jus. Now, let's go down here with it. There we have it. It's in the oven. I just got to let it roast now. And it's going to take a little while. We're looking probably in the neighborhood of around 20, 25 minutes on the pound. That was a 4-pounder. The real trick, folks, you can't just throw meat in the oven and expect to get it right, especially on a big cut. Professional chefs don't do that. Unless, of course, they've been cutting or cooking that exact same weight of meat every day. Pros have to cover themselves. They have to make sure everything is just right. So they're going to pull out the thermometer. You're going to need your cooking thermometer on this one, guys. Go ahead and pull that guy out and get it ready. And if you have a meat thermometer, I think I have an old beat up meat thermometer here. Here we go. You can push this thing right down into the meat. It stays in the oven. Don't put your chef's thermometer in the oven. It'll cook it and bend it and melt it, and it won't be the same. But a meat thermometer is designed to stay in, and it tells you when your core temperature is just right. So this is a neat way to go. Either way, cook it until it's cooked properly. Now, if you wanted a little pink in the middle, you can go as low as about 150 to right about 150. You're going to have a nice pink center on it that way. These days, modern cuts of pork, you can do that with, okay? And don't worry about that. Me, I don't like it cooked that light. I just don't like that flavor as much that way on pork. I like mine a little more done, so I'm shooting closer to about the 165 mark. It's a good temperature on pork, I find. That thing's just got to cook. Later on, after we pull it out of the oven, there's going to be a rest period. And it's going to take several minutes to rest that thing, about 30 in fact. While that thing is resting, I'm going to want to make, at that point, my cherry that go on top. So that cherry compote, that's going to be on there. That's when we'll get it cooked up. And then we can use our slivered almonds as a nice garnish on top of that. Be patient. Now, I think it's time to go what? Oh, that's right. Watch the ball game. See you later, guys. This has been almost 2 hours. I've turned on my thermometer here. I'm just going to sink it right down into the middle. I'm at 155.1, which is a beautiful medium temperature. Okay. Now, this thing is going to keep cooking. Some of that temperature, some of that heat that's on the outside of the roast is still pushing into the middle. And part of allowing a roast to rest is giving it time to, well, basically for that heat to even out, to disperse evenly across there. I'm going to transfer it to this platter and I'm going to put it right back down in the oven. Now, the oven I've turned off a little bit ago, but it's still warm. It'll help keep this Wow. Big and beautiful. The drippings, those are mine for the taking. So now this can rest, and like I said, if you want, you can put it in the oven to keep it warm, but it's really not necessary. Here I have 4 pounds of meat. That's going to stay hot for quite some time. Let's get these juices put in the right place here. There we go. I now have this beautiful, beautiful natural au jus in my pan. All I have to do, bring it up in temperature. I'm going to boil it off just for a moment. I'm going to pour some of it out, then I'm going to save it back, and then I'm going to be thinning these cherries with what I save. It's taken just a few minutes to bring this up to a boil. I'm going to set this aside. I have placed my cherries in a saucepan. I'm going to turn this down to a medium heat, and I'm going to gently stir in the drippings from my pork. Now what I'm doing here is I'm marrying flavors. I'm putting that pork with the cherries and the cherries with the pork, and I'm building something here that will go naturally and smooth and well with that pork roast. The thing of it is as you go with something like this, go ahead and taste it a little bit. Now, look at this. See that kind of thick mixture I've got? Let's go ahead and place a little bit of salt in there. Not a lot, doesn't take much on something like this. Very little goes a long way. Now that mixture I put in it, not only does it have a pork flavor, it has a slightly acidic flavor from the white wine. It also has some of the other flavors which drip down, that garlic, rosemary, the flavor of the nuts, all built into one beautiful harmonious blend. Now, I don't need the cherry itself. I want to save that for the actual dish. I just need to taste this. It's rich, sweet, full-bodied. I'm adding a little more of this, maybe another 1/4 cup. And remember, we've got this over medium heat, so we're heating these little cherries up. And once this has come up to a simmer and the cherries have heated, that sauce is heated, then it's ready to be put with our pork. Now, as you can see, the whole dish, that's pretty darn easy, isn't it? My cherries have started to simmer gently. That means I am finished. I'm going to take this and very gently of course, it's all in how things look, right? Oh, that's beautiful. Turn those cherries off. I've also got some other items for garnish. I've got some beautiful peppers. So we're going to bring color into this dish big time. Now I'm going to drain some of the juice and place some of these in a pretty little row right down the top. That's what I'm talking about right there. Oh yes. Still put a few more of these here and there and about. Remember, we want to bring color into that dish. This is a festival dish. This is a holiday dish. So it needs to look the part. We're almost finished. This needs just a few fresh nuts over the top on these cherries. Absolutely beautiful. Now folks, that right there, that's the way to do a pork loin. Hey, looky there. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that gorgeous dish. Now if that doesn't say holiday dish to you, you haven't been paying attention, folks. Okay, that's got a holiday color, that's got a holiday dish written all over it. You need to serve this one up to the family. Everyone's gonna like this. Now, I want to grab a piece of that meat. Oh yeah. I got some of these cherries left over here. I'll take advantage of them. Oh yes. Get a little bit of nut and a little bit of cherry and meat. Oh my God. Harmony. This is beautiful, robust harmony of flavor in my mouth. Oh, that's so good. That cherry, the flavor of it goes with it roasted because it has some of the juices in it. The flavors just, they do this. They belong together. They look good together. They flavor each other so well. All of this is delicious. Guys, give this dish a try, and I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much for watching Texas Cooking Today. To my subscribers, thank you very much. And if you haven't subscribed, guys, why not? I've got some great recipes coming out all the time, wonderful techniques, stuff you won't see elsewhere. And on this show, you actually get real tutorials. So give us a try. Now also, if you would please share the videos. I need all the help I can get these days. That would help a lot. You folks have a good day. Bye. Hey guys, thank you for watching Texas Cooking Today. Do appreciate it. If you would, please subscribe. If you like this, just click like down there, and if you would, I would really appreciate it if you add me to your favorites. Thank you.